Hey mamas, it's Kristen Noel, founder of the Intuitive Divorce, and I'm popping on here straight after another wonderful class with my beautiful team member, Master Coach Joe Young. And of course, we have a lot to unpack and a lot of wisdom and a lot of inspiration that we want to share with you because one thing we see over and over and over again, women going through divorce may have different circumstances, may have different experiences, may have different things popping up for them. But one thing that stays the same is that they are all in the feels and there are similar themes and there are similar feelings and there are similar triggers. And it's one of the things that gets unpacked in our class every week. And it's really incredible because when we just show up and we're willing to kind of just say the thing, have a safe place to feel what needs to be felt, to say what needs to be said, to process what needs to be processed, we move it. We move the energy. We come up with solutions. We feel so less alone in the experience of divorce, where women often feel really isolated. And and there's this reflection and this beautiful coming together where fierce mama bears are advocating for each other and coming up with suggestions and sharing what's working for them, what's not working for them and their kids. And we laugh, we cry, but most of all, we move through things because I think just before we got on this call, Joe, you and I were saying, guess what? Nothing changes unless something changes. And when we're in divorce, we can often feel just completely overwhelmed with anxiety and feelings and overwhelm and fear or whatever it is, whatever version this is coming up feeling, whether you're triggered, whatever. And so it's very easy to feel powerless. Powerless to the system, powerless to the timeline, powerless to perhaps a narcissistic or gaslighting soon to be ex. There's so many mitigating circumstances and situations that come into play. But the way we started class today was I just shared an email that had popped into my inbox earlier, and it was about recognizing first thing in the morning, what channel are you setting your thoughts to? And this is one place where you have agency. And as Joe says over and over again, oh, the breakthrough, the awareness is the breakthrough. So when we can become aware of our thoughts, like what you wake up in the morning, you're like, whoops, oop, I'm on a channel I don't really like. I'm on overwhelm, or I'm on anxiety, or I'm on fear. Um, the moment you recognize that is the moment you can sit with it and say, well, what do I need? What do I need to shift that channel to something else I'd rather listen to something else I'd rather embody, to something else I'd rather move in the world with? And you do have control over that. You do have control over that knob on that radio station. And so there's so many ways to come about that, to take charge of that, and to shift into what you do want and shift out of what you don't want. And so that was the way we started class today. And of course, that just unleashed a whole, I don't know, Pandora's box. And we just took it all on. It's like, bring it on, Pandora.
That's right. That's right. I love this so much because it's so true. If we don't like how we feel, the first thing we need to do is ask ourselves, well, what am I thinking right now? What am I thinking right now? Because our thoughts fuel how we feel. And so we think that that's just automatic, and it is. And that's the problem because the truth of it is, most of the time, we're thinking the same thoughts over and over and over, or some variation of the same thoughts over and over and over. And so, yeah, we're left with the same feeling. So if I want to feel different, I need to think different, which is then going to spur taking different actions.
Mhm.
But the first step is going, I don't like how I feel in this moment. Okay, what do I need? Well, I need to pay attention to what I'm thinking. And then I need to say to myself, how can I think something different? Notice in there, I said nothing about actual circumstances. I didn't say anything about changing the environment, changing what's actually happening. But what we have agency over is changing how we feel about it by changing what we're thinking about it. So it sounds easy, and it is, until you realize that so many of our thoughts are habitual. They're from past experience, they're from childhood, they're from conditioning, they're from all the things, right? And so we move through life with these habitual thoughts and never take the time to go, wait a minute, what if I got intentional about what I'm thinking? What if I chose what I'm thinking instead? And so today we were able in class to really look at real time situations and go, what are some different ways you could think about that?
Mhm.
Right? We had one mom who said, I really wanted the time and space to come into class today and not have to worry about anybody else being in the house. But as it turned out, her soon to be ex was in the house. And so she said, I showed up for class today with my sound machine, my child's sound machine on full blast, because I wasn't going to miss class, but I needed to create this circumstance. And it was like, okay, well, there's two different ways you could look at that, right? You could be mad and angry that he's in the house, or you could look at it and go, good for me. I chose myself today. I showed up no matter what. I made it work, right?
Yeah, it actually
Same
can even be both ends,
circumstances.
right? It can be
And it
both
is
ends.
both and.
Because by the
Yes.
way, I'm annoyed that he's here. I feel the difference when he comes into the house, how I my nervous system feels, how I feel, how I respond,
Mhm.
which by the way is more evidence and reaffirms why you're doing what you're doing. Because
Mhm.
divorce is temporary and you will get to the other side of it, but it could take a little bit of time. And so you can notice that one, I don't like what it feels like when he's here, but I'm also not going to let it hijack what I'm doing. And that also goes into the other conversation that we had with another mom who was really getting triggered. And her husband is definitely setting her up. So she's getting triggered. She kind of feels like she's walking on eggshells. And we were really workshopping with her some ways to get around that, make some different choices, explore some other options. But even so, let's just break it down to when someone says something to you that's triggering or is intended to be provocative or is intended to set you off. You can actually just pause for a moment, recognize what's happening, know where it's going to lead you because it is a habit and you've done it before and they've triggered you before. And you actually just stop and you say to yourself, nope, not engaging with that. Return to sender. And
Mhm.
you can literally start to develop, you can have a little fun with it too. But
Not today, Satan. That's not
exactly,
happening today.
you can have a little bit of fun with it. And you can start to recognize things and say, like, again, the circumstances there, it's not about the circumstances, it's about how it's making you feel. It's about what is your default setting. When
Mhm.
this happens, then I typically do this. And you're like, that's not really serving me. That's not really working for me anymore. Those old patterns and ways of being are not really what I want to be doing anymore. So I'm going to interrupt them. And that's going to take a little bit of practice. And as you practice it, as you start to communicate consciously, as you learn to set boundaries, effective boundaries, and uphold those boundaries, it cuts out so much chaos. And that's the kind of stuff that gets discussed in our container. I mean, obviously, we are in the divorce weeds. We are talking about the logistics of what's going on between court dates and filings and strategizing. But I got to tell you, there's a lot more to the story than just that. Because you do have a lawyer that can help you with certain strategy, but they can't help you with all these feelings. Your lawyer is not your support pillow. And this is not where you want to spend your money with your lawyer and your legal fees. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up and a lot of navigation and a lot of really delicious work that you can be doing right now, right here with your kids that will change the trajectory of everything. It's going to change how you're feeling in this divorce, and it's going to change how you feel moving forward in your life. And again, it eliminates so much unnecessary suffering.
Yes, mic drop. So true. We do have agency over how we respond to things. And so while the circumstances may not shift immediately, how you think about it and how you feel about it can shift. And I think just by these women showing up week after week, supporting each other, knowing they're not alone, knowing they have a place to show up authentically, honestly and say whatever needs to be said without judgment,
Mhm.
you know, just that step alone creates a different feeling.
Mhm.
And then we give them tools on top of it. And one of the things we started with today was a mama who said, "Hey, I used one of the tools you gave this week, and I actually showed and shared it with my kiddo, and we had so much fun with it. And now, first thing in the morning, she climbs in bed and says, Are we going to do the breathing thing? You know, are we going to
Isn't that
do that?"
like
I mean,
music to your ears?
yes, yes, which is why we say it's not just you, mama.
Hmm.
When you invest in this work for yourself, you are changing the lives of your kids. You're changing what is possible for them. You all have a ripple effect into everyone's lives that you touch, your friends, your family. You are the ripple, you are the change, you are the healing that needs to take place.
Hmm.
So, you know, we don't take this lightly. These little steps, these things that we share with you about how you can show up differently matter for
Hmm.
you first and foremost. But when you do it for you, it then gets to ripple to everybody else around
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah, I mean, and so going back to the example of the radio station, okay, everybody knows what it's like to wake up and it just seems like everything is out of alignment. It's just a really crappy day. And, it feels like, okay, we're just gonna relinquish to that. It's just gonna be a terrible day. No, no. You can wake up and acknowledge, wow, you can be curious. This is really interesting. I'm not having a great day. What can I do? And the reason why that is so important is because life is going to keep moving outside of your house, all around you, in your divorce. You're still going to have decisions to make and conversations and triggering encounters. So we know that if we don't set ourselves up well, we know how we're going to meet those things. And we know that that's the place where maybe we say regrettable words or we take action that we wish, we hadn't. Again, not the end of the world, but what we do have agency over is our thoughts and sitting back and saying, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do here? What need needs me in this moment so that I can show up? And when you take that pause, when you start to ask those questions of yourself, you are connecting to your intuition. The voice of your intuition is like loud and clear and will speak through you, and you will begin to trust that voice. And you will begin to feel what feels true to me. And this is where the breakthroughs start. And they come in, little ways sometimes. And for example, like, just recognizing, I mean, we have women in the program who maybe they initiate a divorce and then maybe their husband begs them to stop and they backpedal and they pause or, there's fits and spurts. And that's okay because you've got to explore your options. You've got to explore what feels right to you. But ultimately, they end up coming back to knowing what the truth is and making a major discovery like I've been pouring into a bucket that has a hole in it. And I've been expecting someone to change. And really, what I need to do instead of expecting someone to change is to recognize that they're not going to, and that this isn't what I want anymore. And that's enough.
Mm. That's everything, to
Yeah.
be quite honest. And we started this by saying nothing changes if nothing changes. And the thing is, we can't change other people. We can't change someone else's actions, beliefs, values, whatever it is. But what we can change is our belief around it, our willingness to look at what is true, our willingness to be in acceptance that I can't change that other person. The only thing I can change is me.
Mhm.
And so that is how we approach this work. It is a holistic view of not just your divorce, it's what got you there in the first place. It's who are you showing up as that you wish you weren't? And how do I move forward so that I get to show up as a person I'm really proud of? And I get to have this life that I'm really proud of. And I get to be a mom that I'm really proud of. And so, so much more goes into this than
Mhm.
just strategy. And yes, we have all of that.
Mhm.
But what sets this program apart is that we look at you as a whole person. There are so many things that brought you to this point, and now you're in an awareness cycle to be able to break that and to go, I want something different. And
Mhm.
how do I make that happen?
And when you start to embody new ways and explore new ways of communicating and connecting and living your life and advocating for yourself, you really begin to trust yourself. And in that pause where things get quieter, you also really begin to see how other people are showing up or not showing up. You begin to see the truth. Discernment just rises. Life actually gets calmer because you see it. And we also always celebrate the fact that women have gotten to this place where they have been able to take action on behalf of themselves, on behalf of their children, on behalf of their future. And maybe they weren't able to do that before. And when we look back, we always ask them to look back. There was a time where most of them, and myself included, I remember this in my own life where I just wasn't ready to see something. I wasn't ready to face something. And then you get to a point, and and this is what we wrap our arms around people and well, mothers, and we want them to celebrate that because that's a win. That's a celebration to see something you couldn't see before, that you weren't ready to deal with, that you didn't have the courage and the conviction. You are who you are today, and nobody needs you to be anything else.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And watching as they watch each other go through that process, they recognize things in themselves as well.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of the community. So yeah, those breakthroughs are everything. They are the pivot point. They are the change makers.
This program is a hybrid because there are one-on-one sessions, there's nervous system regulation, but this coaching container, this group container where we get together for 90 minutes once a week, it's just so incredibly powerful. So much happens so quickly in that container. Lots of transformation, lots of movement, lots of new ideas, lots of support and love. And so we're just going to leave you with all those juicy nuggets today because we know that divorce can make you feel very alone and very isolated and can bring up a lot of feelings of like maybe shame or guilt or worrying about what everybody else thinks. Right now, think about what you need. This is the voice you want to listen to, and just know that you don't have to do it alone. And if you want to put yourself on a better path to a better divorce, look at your divorce holistically because it's not just about assets. It's not just about co-parenting plans. It's about healing. It's about transformation. It's about writing a new chapter. And it is our favorite thing to do. So if you are interested in booking a call with us, you can do that over at intuitivedivorce.com. And if you're not already, please get on our newsletter list. We put out tons of great information several times a week. We've got programs and apps and social media and just any way we can possibly think of helping moms through this moment and helping moms help their children through these moments. And more than anything, helping them reclaim their aliveness. That is our greatest joy to witness. It never gets old. And whether you work with us or not, we want the same for you. We wish the very, very same for you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I look forward to it each and every week. So thank
Me
you for a
too.
beautiful class today.
It was so gorgeous. Thank you.